So I am speaking with
Jim Durbin, social media headhunter.
Jim. You gave a great presentation about, well, untouchables, and those are the unsourceable, the ones that just you can't find. They're not on any of the major social media sites. They won't log on. They won't put their information there. Describe what is so difficult about them.
Part of it is the very best people have realized that they only want to look for a job when they want to look for a job. And they know that if they go to job boards or if they post their information online, that recruiters will absolutely hammer them. And if they're happy or they just don't want to talk to recruiters from bad experiences, they're not reachable. But oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes these are the very best people to reach. And the question is, how do you reach the unreachable? How do you find the unfindable? And how do you source the unsourceable? It's not just finding them, it's getting them to respond to you. So the question is, how do you find and contact these people, and how do you differentiate yourself in a way without losing a lot of time, which is the hard part for recruiters?
And you were saying they don't have much love for recruiters, and why is that?
My default position as a headhunter, and I think people think you have to let this soak in, is that candidates don't like you. The only time that a candidate likes a recruiter is when they get them a job, and that's only for a brief window. It's not that it's always true. It's that should be your default position, and recognize that when you're moving into a blind situation, you don't know what that person thinks of you. So if you approach it from the idea that they don't like you, your job is to be interested in them, be curious, and get them to like you before they ever talk to you.
So you were talking about, like, you kind of have to throw out a lot of the traditional techniques you use for recruiting, like, try to sell on salary and benefits and, all these other wonderful things. But you said, no, find out what their true need is. That's what you have to solve on. And what do you mean by that?
So your typical recruiting, the second thing you recognize is that we're boring. We've been recruiting the same way, and it's not like you have a new pitch to give to people. It's a salary, it's a great company to work for, it's a great boss. Everybody says that, but the reality is most of us work in cubes. You still have a boss working for you. If you have a great job and you're already paid well, the marginal amount of money you're going to get, even if it's a big raise, won't affect your quality of life. So if you're trying to hire the best, or, and this is important too, the new crop of kids coming through, I call them kids, I'm 39, but they want different things than we did at different times in our lives. So you have to understand what need they have. And to do that, you have to be able to understand, not understand, but ask what they want so you can deliver it to them. So one of the examples my co-presenter Bob said, he got a guy a driver. Now that seems crazy. It's like giving people Porsches for signing up for Google. But the point is that the guy's concern is that he's moving to a new metropolis. He wasn't used to having a commute, and he was afraid of all the time that was going to be wasted in doing that. So the company got him a car with a driver, not as a perk, but as a way to actually get more value out of him because he can work in that time that he's been driving. And that what closed that wasn't the money, wasn't the options, wasn't the opportunity. It was that they recognized what a need he had was, and they wanted to make him more efficient. And that's something that you can apply to every job, whether it's a receptionist or it's a salesperson or it's a top executive. It's just understanding what their real concerns are. And that requires understanding, being able to ask them, hey, what are your actual needs?
Very last question, and I love this story as well, is about hiring people to move to a city that you don't think people want to move to. So you think everyone wants to move to sexy cities like New York, LA, San Francisco. But what if you got to fill a position in Pittsburgh? And you found a rather unique way to do that.
I had a position that was in Pittsburgh, and I didn't know much about it. The idea is that somehow this is a town that lost all of its manufacturing. It wasn't exciting anymore. When the truth is that Pittsburgh actually has a higher percentage of under 30. They're one of the more youthful cities for technology and marketing, and there's a lot of great things about the city. But what we were looking for, a specific, very hard to find skill, was not available in town. I did a very thorough search. I couldn't find anybody in the field I am. If I can't find them, they don't exist. So what do you do now? You can start to search at all the cities that are around, but how do you get someone to move to another city? I mean, you have to cross the entire world or the entire country, and there's no way to do that quickly. So I was looking around, I realized one of the things after talking to several people in Pittsburgh was finding out how many of them moved from other cities. And when you ask them why, you realize that a lot of them really have a lot of love for the town and moved back in their 30s. Now, you can't find them by searching what college they went to because they didn't go to college in Pittsburgh. What they did is they would go to high school in Pittsburgh, go to college elsewhere, and then want to move back once they got married and wanted to have kids. So I went through Find People on Plus, which is a social site that lists all the Google Plus candidates, and a lot of them are technical and social media and marketing. And it does a couple of things. It allows you to find out people who'd lived in Pittsburgh before. So I could click through each profile and find out who lived there but did not go to college there. And then from that, I was able to create a series of nodes that I was able to expand out and find them and their friends who went to the same places, all had the same connections. Loved the Penguins, loved the Pirates, talked about Pittsburgh. A lot of them had connected with groups and with other places that told me they still had a love for Pittsburgh, which means that once I found their titles, I knew who to call to say, hey, do you want to move back to Pittsburgh? I have an opportunity. It was just thinking of it in a different way and then using social media to identify them. So when I called, I wasn't a recruiter saying move across the country. I was someone who called, who understood what they already wanted to do, and that made all the difference in the calls.
Excellent. Jim, thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thank you.